She's saying no, but
she's mad, but she still can't even stand.
She's so wobbly.
Zhang Weili is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, how the hell is everyone doing? Welcome into a brand new episode of Axe Cake Picks, episode 160. Lovely, whenever and however you may be watching or listening. Today is Friday, January 17th, 2025. And we got some breaking news right off of the bat, kid. How the hell you doing on a Friday?
I can't believe what has taken place, man. Because I was like locked in, one Friday fights this morning. And BKFC even has a fight night going on. I'm pretty sure they're doing it tomorrow. I don't know why I go up ahead against 311, but man, I mean, my jaw dropped to the floor when you told me what had just transpired.
What a freaking story. What a ride, and what a wild sport we're about to talk about in mixed martial arts. First pay-per-view, and we got some drama, kid. That is Arman Tsarukyan is out of UFC 311. Money Moicano, everyone's favorite financial advisor, is in. I think, you and I were talking. I think it's rightfully deserved. He's on the winning streak. He made championship weight. Apparently, Arman Tsarukyan, he went to the press conference last night. He was about 7 or 8 pounds away from making weight.
That's what it was.
He wound up injuring his back while trying to make weight. He said it was really bad. They waited till the morning. It got worse. And it is worth noting the Money Moicano's trainer and head coach at AT&T is the same as Arman Tsarukyan. He got note of it, said, hey, listen, you might be fighting for the belt. You should be trying to make 154. He winded up doing that. So in steps in Money Moicano. And, I think also that needs to be said, Islam Makhachev, he is a fucking gangster. I mean, stepping in, doesn't matter who it is, showing himself why he is the pound-for-pound number one fighter in the world. He took on Alexander Volkanovski 10 days short notice, now taking on Money Moicano in a little over 24 hours notice. I mean, what is your initial reaction on this?
That you mentioned the weight cut issue and that the back spasms, quote unquote, are a little cover up for Arman Tsarukyan. Unfortunately, he wouldn't have been eligible for the belt if he missed weight. So I think it's a little bit of saving face, and also coming in, to fight Islam for an actual title. So that's, I never want to just categorize a fighter as kind of wimping out or, taking an easy way out. But man, I mean, that's a little worrisome, we're a day out, and, now the back problems on the weight cut day, it just seems a little fishy to me on that regards. But to your point, Islam, yeah, he's taking on all newcomers. It doesn't matter who they are. If they can make
fucking
the weight,
gangster.
Yeah, he's going to take the fight. So it's a little disappointing, I mean, we just scrambled to make all our picks up again based off what just happened. We lost a fight in the main card, and I think we're down to a 4-fight UFC 311.
Yeah, only a 4-fight main card now. Still headlined by Islam Makhachev, now taking on Money Moicano. The co-main event is all set in the bantamweight between Merab Dvalishvili and Umar Nurmagomedov, Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill. And no, we actually have a 5-fight. They moved up Sergey Spivak, the polar bear, and Jail Time Almeida.
Which is what I said, out of all the fights on the prelims, that's the only card that fight that's worth of the main card.
Yes, 100%. And then the main card kicks off RDR taking on Kevin Holland. Funny, the Dutchman is trying to beat a guy named Holland. Funny enough. Funny enough. But you got to feel for Arman Tsarukyan. This game is wild, and who knows if he might ever get a title shot again. God,
this was his opportunity.
Joe, hypothetically, and say he shocks the world. Hypothetical. Say we're living in Narnia, and Money Moicano does win. Islam is getting an immediate title shot.
100%. Yeah. But who's to say that if Islam doesn't win that, as we all know too well, the UFC does move on when you miss your chance.
Yes.
You only get one chance. Did not miss your chance to blow.
So
that's why I'm a little bit out of shape. It's just, I got humbled in 2025 immediately. Arman Tsarukyan was my future lightweight champion to end the year, and I had him, of course, as a pick. So both of those tickets are burned right away.
Who knows? We might not even get you. He might not even fight for the belt this year, Joe.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
One ticket might be dead, but yeah, hopefully if it is in fact, and it's all speculation at this point, if it is in fact a serious back injury, we do wish him well. But
Yes. All jokes aside.
What a story, man. I'm rooting for Money Morcano, the best financial. He can't afford to lose.
He can't afford to lose. And I'm pretty sure if you looked at the fanfare, everyone talking online, pretty sure everyone's favoring Moicano. Of course, we respect and admire Islam and his capabilities, being number one pound for pound, as you mentioned. But Moicano cannot afford to lose in this position. No. If he wins, I mean, I think it's probably the greatest upset in UFC history. I hate to say that.
Oh, it has to be.
We've seen before, but a day's notice changing a fighter, and I mean, I think the odds are completely counting Renato Moicano out.
100%. But yeah, just want to get that off the bat real quick because I literally went on 25 minutes before we went live. So thankfully we do the show on Friday because I know a lot of shows, they do get their picks and their show out there a day or two before the fights. But, sometimes this game is crazy and
it pays to wait.
It pays to wait. Patience is a virtue, my friend. But we got a great show for everyone. UFC 311 in the Intuit Dome. I know we watch Raw. The Intuit Dome looks amazing in California, so we'll take a look at that.
You ended on the note last episode to everyone dealing with the wildfires. I think the fact that they're having the fight still out there, I think it's good for the community. I think it'll 100%. Uplift a lot of spirits. I think Dana White and the UFC staying strong in LA is going to do a lot of good for the community over there. I think it hurt them, the fans, not being able to see their Rams win.
100%, and I think it could bring the community together as well, like you said. So should be an uplifting moment for the city and state of California. So we're still rooting for them. Thoughts and prayers do go out to them. But we'll recap Vegas 101. Our girl Mackenzie Dern, what a girl! Had a girl. She's back, baby. We'll recap that. We also got a Misfit boxing event. Our boy Darren Till. At one point he was the face of England MMA. Not anymore, but this weekend, January 18th at the Co-op Arena in Manchester, he was supposed to take on Tommy Fury, but Tommy Fury bitched out and is scared. But here steps in Anthony Taylor. He is not afraid. I don't know if you saw the face-off. Hands are being put on already. I can't wait for this. This is my favorite weekend of the year. We got Saturday, UFC 311. We got football. We got Misfits boxing. Sunday, we got football. And then Monday,
national championship.
National champion. I don't have a lot in life, Joe, but I'm fighting for a national championship right now.
Yeah.
So we got a great episode for you guys. And we got some news. We got a lot of news actually. So lock and load, strap in. Let's start last week, UFC Vegas 101. Mackenzie Dern gets the armbar submission in the third round with about 4 or 5 seconds left in that third round. She gets the $50K bonus for performance of the night. She's on a little win streak right now. She revenged her loss against Amanda Hebos. And then I think her beautiful little daughter, Mona, stole the show. What did you think of her performance, Mackenzie Dern?
Man, that third round, she really stole the show. I was a little worried, in the beginning parts of the first round and the beginning parts of the second round. Amanda started off a little bit hot there, but yeah, you just see a new evolution of Mackenzie Dern. She's able to weather these storms, maybe getting out of her game plan a little bit at times, but just redirecting her focus to that game plan. And I mean, she's got to stick with her jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's what brought her to the show, brought her to the big time in the UFC. And I mean, her skill level in that field is greater than, I would say, 90% of the jiu-jitsu players. There's only going to be like Fifion Davies when she goes and competes at CJI be able to beat her. Those are the highest level of jiu-jitsu practitioners. So I think if Mackenzie Dern doesn't necessarily fall in love with her striking and just keeps going through the routine of bringing people to the mat and trying to throw in her game, I think she can find herself at the title. I'm like kicking myself for not picking Mackenzie Dern to be a choice as a future pick to be champion by the end of this year, because I see title aspirations for her. Getting back the win against Amanda Hebos, doing it in that fashion, and main eventing fight night, the first one of the year. I think it just increases her stardom, and she gets a win in her next outing. you may say she could be deserving of a title shot, and maybe if not the title shot, just a number one contendership. So she's right in the mix. Amanda Hebos, granted, she got the submission loss there, but she's going to be a player in that weight class for those that want to, make a name for themselves. So she doesn't lose all too much stock, but I just think Mackenzie Dern's stock went right through the roof.
Oh, 100%. She's on a 2-fight win streak right now. She just beat Amanda Hebos. She beat Lupi Godinez back in August, and she lost a very tough fight, I thought, against Amanda Lemos, but 8 submission wins in the strawweight division. It's the most in strawweight division history. And, she is still sitting at the sixth ranked in the world. I know a lot of these girls, she's fought a lot of these girls as well. She's been in the game forever.
Yeah.
I think she's one fight away, kid. Maybe a fight against Verna Jandiroba. Maybe a fight like that.
They did fight already, though. I think Verna got the better of her there. I think you keep them separate for a little bit now, but I agree. I think one more fight for Mackenzie Dern, and just as we see here, Alejandro Moicano is getting a title shot.
Yeah,
a situation could occur where Mackenzie Dern can step in on short notice.
And also, I think what she needs and what the other women in the strawweight division need, they need Tatiana Suarez to win. They need to throw a wrench in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it opens up the weight class as well. But then, as the wrestling heavy Tatiana Suarez would say, if she fights Mackenzie Dern, it might go right into Mackenzie Dern's game plan. Take me down all you want. I'm going to start throwing up submissions.
And now that was going to go into my question. If she does get the fight, hypothetically, against either Yan Xiaonan or Wei Zing or Tatiana Suarez, who does she have a better chance against?
To be honest, I would think that the grappling, could fall into, for Weili Zhang and Tatiana Suarez right into Mackenzie Dern's game. I think Yan Xiaonan would be the only one that would want to keep it standing, So let's see what happens with her timeline, and let's see what happens with Mackenzie Dern. I think sooner or later, the top 5 of that weight class are going to have to face off, and if it happens to be a rematch, UFC is going to have to bite the bullet on that.
But we cash at plus 164. Big underdog to start the year, kid. Attaboy.
Yeah.
Co-main event. Hey, our boy Santiago Ponzinibbio, he gets the KO win against Carlston Harris. It was a close one, I thought, but he does get the knockout in the 3rd round. Thoughts on the Argentine?
Yeah, it was back and forth a little bit. I mean, Carlston Harris is that weird character where he is like a finisher. Like, if you leave yourself vulnerable at any point in the fight, I mean, he could jump on the back, he could jump on the arm, or he's got some power. I think, did he not drop Ponzinibbio early in that fight?
He dropped him twice.
Yeah, that's my point. So it's like Charleston Harrison had some moments in this fight where, Ponzinibbio looked his age. It definitely, reared his ugly head Father Time, as it always does. It is undefeated, the only undefeated fighter ever, his Father Time. So Ponzinibbio, getting that finish, it was weird because it was late in the 3rd round. Late in the 1st and late in the 2nd, it was kind of opposite of the main event, where early in the 1st, early in the 2nd, Mackenzie Dern had her hands full. I think Ponzinibbio, towards the later part of the rounds, he gassed a little bit. And like I said, he was a little vulnerable for Carlston Harris. But, man, he caught him. He got the job done. I put a little chance on taking him straight up, and he helped my record for the weekend. So shout out to Santiago Ponzinibbio. Man, I just, we're not in the business of retiring fighters, but based off him being dropped a couple times to Carlston Harris, I would be fearful of who he matches up with again next time out. I got to say, I do think there's more for him as being a coach, being an analyst, and, heading UFC, Latin America, Espanol, whatever. I think there's a lot more star for him for just fighting. I think he should be thinking about making a retirement fight, just because I want to see all the fighters we like go out on their terms. So if he doesn't decide on doing that, though, I hope he gets a favorable matchup, because I would like to see more of Ponzinibbio. But like you said, 38 years old. I mean, the clock's ticking.
Not candidate of knockout of the year already. See Cesar Almeida. What a fucking knockout. I mean, this guy's he has a win over Alex Pereira in kickboxing. And this guy, he's for real, man. He carries serious power in that middleweight division. He's
stoic, if you would, because in that firefight, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, excuse me, I had to spit that out. He's throwing fire. He's throwing heavy leather. I bet if that punch is running past your face and barely missing, you're getting like a fastball is passing your face. So for him to stay calm in the fire, I mean, Cesar Almeida on the ground is we're gonna have to see if he even has the skills to post there. But as to Alex Pereira's point, he might not need to get there because he's just so skillful on the feet. So mind you, when Cesar Almeida fought Alex Pereira 3 times, he did beat him once, but the other 2 times he lost to Pereira, he took him to decision. So that just shows that Cesar Almeida, even though at his age, he does have a chin. He's as IQ oriented as a stand-up fighter you can get, and he has the skills, the power to back it. I think he's a threat in the middleweight division, but it's definitely going to come down who he's matched up against. If he fights a very wrestling-heavy grappler, it probably won't favor him.
Fight of the night goes to Roman Kopylov and Chris Curtis. I know the 50,000 extra probably won't help or even matter to Chris Curtis, but he was definitely visibly upset.
Can't
Eric
they go back and fix that?
It was a second left, and I know the argument, and I'd probably make the argument as well. Roman Kopylov was on the way to winning the fight anyway. I think it was body language, how Roman Kopylov kind of walked off after knocking him down. And I also didn't like the body language of Chris Curtis. He looked tired when cardio usually...
he got nut checked and eye poked like 3 separate times in that fight. Like Mark Smith, I said it on the chat. Mark Smith stops fights early, but doesn't give out warnings for all these fouls.
But I don't want to take away the credit and knockout of Roman Kopylov, because I think a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he fouled. Okay, but he also knocked him out as well.
The head kick landed
credit.
flush. Yeah, the head kick landed flush.
Let's also credit Roman Kopylov here. I don't want to take away a great fight by Roman Kopylov. Okay, that's just me, but I understand people want to say, he did eye poke him, he did nut check. Hey, that's the fight game.
What I was saying there was probably more towards the referee. So that's what, to your point, it's like, let's not take away from Roman Kopylov. Let's look at the entirety of the picture, right?
Yeah.
The referee, who it was. It's unfortunate, like you said, the body language that happened. Chris Curtis is on his knees, and if Roman Kopylov was right there, he was just going to receive more punishment. So you could say this, you could say that, but what's fact is fact. It happened that way. He ended in the 3rd round.
I mean, can we stop putting undefeated fighters against C-Rod? Please. I mean, this guy just loves to take people's this is the 4th fighter that's gone undefeated to try to go try to beat C-Rod. And
he's a bum. No,
yeah, no, honestly, but Christian Rodriguez just dominated the
fight. I hate not sticking with my gut instinct, because that was my dog of the day. It was taking Christian Rodriguez all the way. It's
you would have hit at plus 215.
Yeah, look, you see Austin Bashi and his combat sports record throughout everything. He's done a fantastic job, but there's just levels, man. And C-Rod has seen the highest level. So it was just a lot for Austin Bashi at his age, at his experience, to come in against a dude like that. I mean, I should have stuck with my gut and picked C-Rod there.
Overall, it was a really good UFC fight night at the Apex. Oh, it's great to be back at the Apex, kid. But I do go 2-2 on the night. We hit on Mackenzie Dern. We also hit on Jacoby Smith knocking out Preston Parsons in the first round.
Serious. With the wrestling and to be able to throw hands like that.
Yo, I'm telling you, he got power. So we do hit there. We do strike out on Trey Ogden. I thought it was a good fight, even though Thiago Moises got the best of him. We strike out there, and we strike out on Jose Johnson. Good underdog by Felipe Byrne.
You should have taken your girl, Fatima Klein.
Yeah, I know. She's a beast. What a knockout in the 2nd round. Did you see that, by the way? Dudakova slapped her coach.
Yeah,
that's crazy, Joe.
Yeah, I just don't think of it. She was saying that coach specifically in her corner was like not caring the position that she was in, or didn't come out of the cage to check on her.
Time and place, Joe.
Yeah,
not really on live television in front of the world to see. It's just not a good look.
No.
But overall, how did you do on Saturday night?
I went 89. I was 1 pick under 500 overall, but I did go 4-2 on my straight bets, 1-2 on my props, 1-0 on the totals, 1-1 for my leans, 1-2 on the parlays, and I did go 0-2 in 10 seconds left. So, like I said, I got immediately humbled right out of the gate for 2025.
Hey, let's humble the books right now, kid. Before we humble the books and before we get to our picks, quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market. Hands down. It's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like how we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing around the golf with the boys or coconut watching UFC 311, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with that Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. From Las Vegas to California, let's get to it. UFC 311. Not Makhachev Sarukian 2, Makhachev Moicano. We got a new one, baby. But we will start in the flyweight division. Tagar Ulanbekov taking on our boy, the American Nightmare, Clayton Carpenter.
Wow. Yes, yeah, take the words right out of my mouth. But I just wanted to just go on to commend, like, you know, all the organizations, especially the UFC, since we're talking about him, you know, to overcome adversity, you know, to be able to, you know, make up a card. It's happened time and time again in the past, you know, all the pullouts, you know, injuries, weight misses, and stuff that they had to overcome for us to be able to still have a pay-per-view this weekend. You know, kudos to the UFC. So like you said, starts in the flyweight division. You know, Tagir Ulanbekov has fought really good competition. That's why I think the books are having him as a minus 300. But it's that cautionary tale. Are you going to take an undefeated fighter? As we saw what happened last week, right? Didn't work out so well for Austin Bashi. So Clayton Carpenter, you know, he's an up-and-coming guy, 8-0 in his professional career. He has one loss. It is in his amateur ranks. I think it was a split decision loss. So dude's never been finished in his career. He's seen a lot of jiu-jitsu and a lot of, you know, stand-up battles. But, like, for plus 275, if you're willing to take that underdog bet for a no-name but a rising star in Clayton Carpenter, kudos to you. I don't like the bets for Tagir Ulanbekov as the first one of the evening at minus 300 favorite. I have no official play for the first fight tonight, and that's rare of me to do, but I'm going to play it safe and not touch a fight for the first one. Not touch a fighter for the first fight. Okay, whatever. Let's go to the bantamweight division. Ricky Turcios.
Joe,
man.
wait, Joe, real quick. I do have a pick.
What you got?
You know who I'm going with. The American Nightmare, Clayton Carpenter.
That's not his nickname.
It is on this show. I mean, you know, they're both fighters. They're fresh off the back-to-back submission victories. They're good on the ground. I think Carpenter, personally, he's shown a bit more consistency in the wrestling game, while Ulanbekov, he's been a touch better on the feet. I think with his hands, he's definitely better with the striking. However, there is one aspect of this fight that I think favors the underdog, and that's the scrambling. Joe, we scramble when we wrestle, and if you see the issues Ulanbekov had in that loss, a decision loss to Tim Elliott, shout out Tim Elliott, he's a legend. He struggled in those scrambling moments. So whether that's in the clinch, on the ground, Tim Elliott was able to get the best of him. And it's the fact that it makes me think the American Nightmare, Carpenter here, he's a talented wrestler, but his ability to scramble to better positions is part of that. So, you know, if Ulanbekov could keep it on the feet, then obviously I think he's the better fighter. But on the ground, man, he should be able to come out with this victory plus 260. Let's start it off.
You know, it's hard to see finishes at the flyweight level, but, you know, Clayton Carpenter could maybe have a little bit of power in his shots. The aesthetics that he's bringing into the fight, I know doesn't mean much, but you look at Tagir, yeah, he might be a little more technically sound on the feet, but he doesn't possess any power whatsoever. He never has been finished on the feet, but he himself has never gotten a KO or TKO. And I know that those have changed. The fortunes have changed for a lot of fighters like Moicano. Never had that, but now 2 in a row, 2 finishes in a row, gets a title shot for it. I just don't see that from Tagir Ulanbekov. I think it's going to come down to the wrestling in that one. So I think it's worth the sprinkle on the scrambling American Nightmare, Clayton Carpenter. I like the dog pick for the first of the day.
Let's go.
So now let's move on to the bantamweight division. Ricky Turcios is plus 235 for rightful reason. You know, I think he's very game and durable athlete, and he's willing to take fights after coming that Ultimate Fighter. But man, I think Bernardo Sopat, minus 250. I think he's the rightful side here. You know, he was looking good up until that third round knockout, the highlight reel knockout from Vinicius Oliveira. And I mean, he's got a lot of finishes under his belt throughout his career. So, you know, Ricky Tercios is a durable guy. I got to give him credit for that. But I think for Bernardo Sopat to go ahead and showcase his talents, I think he's going to have to finish Ricky Tercios. And unfortunately for Ricky and his UFC career, I think if he does lose inside the distance here, I think he's out. And I think he's going to have to earn his way back to the UFC. So give me the young upstart, who's a favorite, Bernardo Sopat, minus 250. But I'm going to go ahead and squeeze those odds down. Let's see if he does get the job done inside the distance at plus 225. Totally swung those odds around for you.
Yeah, I do like Bernardo in this fight as well. Minus 325 is a little high, though. Yeah. He did make his UFC debut on short notice against Oliveira. Got the knockout in that one. Violent knee, though, in that knockout. I was watching it. But that was in March, so he's healed up. But, that kind of KO kind of changes a fighter. He's good at striking. He showed a good cardio in that fight. And Tercios is pretty bad. I'm not the biggest Ricky Tercios fan, so I do expect him to kind of, if he does lose this, kind of be out on his way. Maybe try to work a takedown or two in this fight. I just don't think Ricky Tercios, and this is no disrespect because he could beat the shit out of me, but I just don't think Ricky Tercios just does anything great. In his striking isn't sharp.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
His grappling, wrestling, they're just not high level. He just doesn't have any upside that I look for. I think both guys honestly have question marks, but
absolutely.
I do think Bernardo will be the better fighter, so I do like him in a parlay piece as well.
Yeah, Ricky Tercios, he can definitely cut a hell of an inspirational promo, and I think that's why a lot of people would definitely back a dog in this spot, but I just don't see it on the performance level, as you said. So, bantamweight division, yet again. Get ready for a lot of bantamweight fights in this one. Rinya Nakamura, the Japanese superstar wrestler, is a minus 500 favorite, taking a Moonin Gafrov at plus 455. D-Rock, did you have a play here?
No, I didn't. I don't like this fight at all.
And that's the thing. It's like looking at me, I think Nakamura should, on paper, be the rightful favorite, which he is, and should win this fight. But I'm going to go and take a stab at the dog, at Gafrov, being that he's been in the UFC a little bit longer. And he's overcome adversity, overcome losses, and has found his way into, the UFC and has won fights. And if you look at it, he's actually a year younger than Rinya Nakamura. So he's got 16 more fights than Rinya Nakamura, and he's a year younger. I think he has maybe a little more ability on the feet, even though Rinya Nakamura has some highlight reel knockouts in the first round. Remember, he was fighting Japanese competition. I do think there are a little bit of a separation. A dude from Tajikistan isn't going to lay down maybe as some other fighters he has come across. So I think with a little bit of resistance, maybe Rinya Nakamura folds. We've made money on Japanese fighters before not performing. Yes. So I think this is another shot to do so. Give me the plus 455 underdog, Mooin Gafrov.
I love it.
Now we'll move to another bantamweight fight.
Oh, another one.
Women's bantamweight fight. Carol Rosa is minus 220. She's taking on Eileen Perez at plus 215. Man, I mean, I think a lot of the fans want to see Eileen Perez and Merab Dvalishvili come out victorious. So there's some ass slapping and turking going on in the behind the scenes backstage. But I don't necessarily see. I think Eileen Perez is all in on her takedowns and wrestling, but Carol Rosa, I mean, she could throw up submissions if she needs to, or she could just threaten enough where Eileen Perez can advance position. Maybe we see a referee stand them up if we don't get enough action on the ground. So some's telling me on the feet, Rosa's going to have night and day compared to Perez here. I think she's fought better competition. I think she has better hands, just looking as, just the eye test straight up. But I do think the X factor will be if Eileen Perez can maybe throw in her own submissions on the ground. I just haven't seen it before. I think it took Daria Zelenikova to give the neck for her to find that submission. It's either that she's going to win by decision or she's going to lose by decision. And I got to take the favorite, Carol Rosa, here to win via decision at minus 135. I think there are more options for her to win in this fight.
Not so fast, Joe. I'm not the biggest fan of Eileen Perez either. But I got to tip my cap and give credit where it's due. She's improved each time she stepped into this octagon. And now she's poised. If she goes out there and beats Carol Rosa, that's the biggest win of her career. And the name of the game for Eileen Perez is obviously her wrestling and her grappling. She's relentless in there. She looks for takedowns. And the last two times Rosa has been taken down, she has gone on to lose the fight. Look for her to keep the pressure, make this an ugly fight at plus 215. We're going dogs this card, baby.
Let's do it. All right, bro. I love it, man. Do you have a pick in the next fight? You know, the middleweight match between Zach Reese at plus 175. Granted, he got
That's
two
the
wins
next
back.
fight. We're starting
Yeah.
with Grant Dawson.
Oh, so it's got like switched it around a little bit.
Yeah, switch the card around. We're opening
Well,
up
let
the
me, since I
prelim.
was already on a roll there and I don't have an official play, if you don't have an official play, we can go right to the Grant Dawson fight next. Zach Reese getting slammed in his head by Cody Brundage didn't do no favors for me, but he comes back and wins 2 fights after that. A last-minute replacement for Asmad Bekoev. He's a favorite here. I'm staying completely away from this fight. No official play. Do you have anything for
I had
Zach
an opinion.
Reese?
I had an opinion. I mean, Zach Reese, big favorite here. I mean, I
Big
have been
dude, too.
Yeah, and I've been impressed with his career, despite I feel like I'm being overcritical on this episode because I do see some holes in his game. You know, he has big finishing power, he has submissions, but the biggest weakness is honestly the lack of cage time. You know, he just hasn't been in there a lot. Only 1 fight has gone out of the first round. His last fight against Medina went the distance, and you know, I thought it was great for him to go. Honestly, the 15 minutes. We talk about that all the time, Joe. Yes, it's good to get first round and get out of there, but it's also good for your career to get the experience of a 15-minute fight. You know, and it beat the hell out of Medina for 15 minutes. But you could see his cardio, be kind of an issue. He was active in the 3rd round, but he definitely lost some steam off of his strikes. And, you know, he was getting hit a bit too much for my liking, but, you know, he was getting takedowns. So credit him. I think Zach Reese is a good fighter. And somehow Dumas, he's gone the distance against.
He's not fighting Dumas. Dumas got replaced by Bekoev. Azamat Bekoev.
It's over. Yeah. So I like Reese. Regardless, I was liking Reese to get the job done anyway. What happened to Dumas?
I don't know. It was kind of a similar situation. We don't have the full details on it. You know,
Cops involved again or no?
No, chill. Azamat Bekoev, he was a champion, I think like ACA or ACB. You know, he's like 5'10". I think they're marking him at 6'1". Meanwhile, Zach Reese is like 6'3", 6'4". So I don't know if we're going to see, if you have seen, it's going to be tonight. So around 7 o'clock when they do the weigh-ins, you're going to see the height discrepancy between the 2 fighters. And they have Azamat, the smaller guy, based off his pedigree, to be the favorite here. I think there might be a little bit, all you talked about Zach Reese, there might be worth a little sprinkle here. If you guys see value in Zach Reese at plus 175 on some books, maybe listen to what D-Rock was explaining about him and go ahead and make that play. But like we said, I don't have an official play because of that replacement, and I'm D-Rock, neither do you.
Shout out the chat, sports and food and beer and things. I mean, all great things. Money Morcano cannot afford to lose. Fucking men, baby.
Yes, he cannot afford to lose. Not at all. So let's move on to the fight that we do have a pick for. In the lightweight division, Grant Dawson is minus 235. He's taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira at plus 220. D-Rock, you had something?
I don't. I mean, I was thinking Dawson should roll here. I really think so. He's a big favorite.
10-year age discrepancy.
He's a parlay piece. He's a big favorite. You know, Dawson's only loss in the UFC was against King Green. Sparked him in 30 seconds. I mean, that was crazy.
That was crazy to watch. I mean, Grant Dawson was on his way to the title.
Yes, he was. Everyone was talking about Grant Dawson. No one's talking about him now.
No.
Other than that, though, he gets his wrestling and takedowns, and he's dominant on the ground, I think. Once he gets that body triangle or any top position, I think the round is pretty much, I think the round is pretty much over. I don't think Diego Ferreira is going to be able to defend those positions. That is my worry. I wanted to go dog hunting. I gave you a lot of plus money to begin the card. Plus 285, I almost got there, kid, but I think he will, you know, he's going to have to go for the striking from the beginning, but I think it will be only a matter of time before Dawson gets his hands on Ferreira and then just drags him into deep water. I love that Dawson sticks. I think he does stick to his game plan. Excuse me.
Yeah, he
and though some people don't like the nonstop wrestling, they think it's kind of boring. He said that's how he wins, and he isn't going to change. So credit to him, and I like that. I just don't see a 39-year-old Diego Ferreira staying on his feet in this fight very long. Dawson should roll here. I'm going to take him via decision.
Yeah, it's just seeing him as a big favorite here, I think, is the worrisome. You know, I think you're all expecting Grant Dawson to win, and that's where you could pause for a second and be like, well, you know, everything's on his side, and here you go, unexpected dog, and he could come in at 40 years and knock you out like he did with MJ. But I think there is a difference there. You got a guy who's going to stand up as opposed to, like you said, sticking with the game plan. Grant Dawson is going to take you down. Here's the only kicker that I had to get value out of Grant Dawson. I even said incorporate him a parlay piece. I got a prop for him because I think to get Carlos Diego Ferreira out of there, you probably have to knock him out. He's never been submitted. He's never been submitted on the ground. And that could be a feather in Grant Dawson's cap if he can find a submission. But I like going with the precedent a little bit. Diego Ferreira is going to have the on-foot advantage, and it's going to be hard to finish on the ground. I think Grant Dawson follows his game plan and just, like you said, chain wrestles into a decision victory, a unanimous one. But give me Grant Dawson via decision at plus 150. That'll squeeze the minus 235 down.
100%. I was just going to let you know. I didn't tell you the odds when I got it, but I got via Grant Dawson to win via decision at plus 140. Shop around. I do see plus 150s out there, though.
Absolutely. So kind of lining up on that one. Let's move on to the next fight. Light heavyweight matchup. Bogdan Guskov taking on Billy Elikana. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, sir.
Minus 315 for Bogdan Guskov. It makes sense. I think we're supposed to get Johnny Walker in this position. That would have been an absolutely hilarious
barn burner.
So Billy Elikana comes in at plus 305. Not much is known about this guy. We have seen him, if you look at the regional fights that he's had, he is a durable dude. I think he's had one loss. It's by decision, but he does get a lot of finishes in the KO, TKO, so on his feet. Could go right into Guskov's game plan here, but he is so chalky. I just, and he's so volatile. I just don't think it's a really safe fight to bet on here. I'm going to stay completely away from him. I have no official play for the light heavyweight matchup. Are you taking something?
Yeah. Oh, baby, I'm involved. Last fight in the middleweight, or not the middleweight, the lightweight between Grant Dawson and Diego Ferreira, I said, I was trying to get you guys some plus money here. Give me Bogdan Guskov plus 136. I'm going dog hunting again, Joe. Guskov, he looked terrible. He lost his UFC debut, but credit to him, grappling off 2 straight wins off of his striking. And I think it's going to be 3 in a row here. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Billy Elikana. Billy Elikana, he's stepping in on a short notice, and I just don't think that's good for him. His notable win is a split decision against Chuck Campbell in PFL. From what I've seen, he doesn't throw enough volume.
Chucky Buffalo?
Yeah.
No. Charlie Campbell.
Chuck Campbell.
Yeah, Charlie, the cannibal.
That's Charlie Campbell. This is Chuck Campbell.
So a completely different Charlie.
Yeah. And two different organizations. And what I've seen from Billy is just he doesn't throw enough volume to scare Bogdan in this fight. He doesn't have the ground game to take advantage of Bogdan's weakness, which you got to take him down. So I think he's going to be the more powerful and more crisp striker here. So plus 136. Give me Bogdan Guskov on the money line.
Really? He's a dog?
Plus 136.
Wow. I see him heavily favored. Okay, if you could find some...
never mind. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong odds. Minus 333, but you could put him in a parlay piece, but I do like him to get the knockout. And if you want to take him to get the knockout, it's minus 165, so still favored.
Holy shit. I did not expect... I was like, I thought you were saying KO, TKO the whole time. If it's plus money for Guskov's KO, jump all over it, but it seems a lot of people have. So.
Yeah, minus 165 for him to get the knockout.
As D-Rock said, it looks to be a parlay piece for that fight. Let's go now to what is the featured bout of the preliminary card, right? It's the bantamweight division again. Peyton Talbot, right? Minus 1,000, taking on Hani Barcelos at plus 800. I love Hani Barcelos. He's been a staple throughout my watching experience. You can always find him, especially in the younger part of his career, doing a spectacular submission, doing a fantastic knockout. But it seems that this part of his career, he's on the receiving end of said finishes. I think Peyton Talbot is going to find a way to finish him. But if Hani Barcelos shows his age and shows his durability, maybe it goes to decision. I don't know which way, but I do think Peyton Talbot's the right side. I'm going to lay the minus 1,000, but he's absolutely a parlay piece.
Yeah, I'm not touching this fight at all. I mean, Peyton Talbot is a future star. He's probably a star now already, but Barcelos, 37, a lot of miles on the body. He has cage experience and veteran, still has gas tank in him. He has submission wins in his last fight, especially. And I know Peyton Talbot, all the hype for good reason. And he's finished all 3 of his UFC opponents. But don't be surprised if Barcelos has some tricks up his sleeve for Peyton Talbot. Barcelos, he has the ability to get some takedowns. His footwork, his movement, they still look good. And I really think he's going to give some Peyton Talbot some problems. Can he win? I'm not sure. I'm not going to do that, but there's no chance I take Peyton Talbot. Even in a parlay piece, he's not even going to help your odds. So you're not going to even touch the fight. I'm going to sit back, watch, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's dog or nothing in this fight for me.
Wow. I mean, I can't help to agree at a betting standpoint, but as lovers of the sport, I mean, I think you got to call a spade, right? And I think Peyton Talbot's moving this way, and Barcelos, he's not necessarily on his way out, but he's on the twilight of his career.
They said the same thing about Glover Teixeira at 40 years old, and he won the title. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it's happened time and time again.
You gotta love it.
But it could be the exception and not the rule. That's the key thing.
Exactly.
So let's see what's going to start up UFC 311's main card. Is it the Kevin Holland fight?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to start it up in the middleweight division here. Kevin Trailblazer Holland is taking on RDR, Reinier de Ridder. It's a pick'em fight here. I'm going to hand it off to you. Do you have a play for this?
Yes, I do. Like I said, very interesting that a Dutchman is trying to defeat a guy named Holland. That was so weird to me. But, de Ridder, he did earn a UFC debut win against beautiful GM3. But you and I discussed it on the post show after the fight. It wasn't that impressive. His showing was, I think, less than impressive, if I'm being honest. His striking looked sloppy.
He was getting pieced up by GM3.
And against Holland, that isn't going to fly. As long as Holland doesn't get held down for 3 rounds, he should knock out de Ridder. Kevin Holland has the much better stand-up. He's no slouch in the jiu-jitsu department as well. I don't understand these odds. I thought Kevin Holland was going to be a -150, -175 favorite. -110 I'm seeing right now for Kevin Holland. Stay tuned, but it might be my lock of the weekend. Give me Kevin Holland. And I even see some plus money out there. I got him at -110. I got awful CLV. I see Kevin Holland right now at +110 at DraftKings. No free shout outs. But yeah, he shop around. He's a dog right now. He might be my lock.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people look at RDR and you're just like, if you love the UFC, you're saying this guy has no chance here. But I mean, his jiu-jitsu is excellent. I think that's the fear is this Kevin Holland. And mind you, Kevin Holland is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so he should be able to hold his own. I think it's under Travis Lutter. But the fact of the matter is RDR seemed to have a little bit higher level. If it gets to the ground, you may have a wash on that. But if it stays on the feet, to your point, I think you got me riled up and you made me pick an official lean here because I didn't have a choice. And a pick'em fight, Kevin Holland being as inconsistent as he is, the last 2 losses put a bad taste in my mouth, and RDR being as unimpressive as he is since joining the UFC ranks. It was hard for me to pick a side here, but I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to officially lean Trailblazer. I'm going to go ahead. If he's a dog now, especially, there's a way to make a little bit more money. And if you're feeling frisky, I would go ahead and officially lean or even make the play of the Trailblazer via KO TKO because it could happen in the first. And if it gets out of the first, every fight starts standing. Second round might get the knockout there. So, I mean, it could happen in the third as well. So I do think the KO TKO is live for Kevin Holland. But if it does hit the mat, I do think we got to just see who's going to be the better grappler, who's going to wind up putting up more submissions and who's going to be more dominant. So I think it'll be a wash if it hits the mat.
Joe, 2 things. Kevin Holland via KO TKO is at +225. Great,
I love that.
Great odds there. And did you see the back and forth between him and Rampage on Rampage's podcast?
On Jackson?
Yeah, on
Jackson podcast
so,
with Bear?
Yeah, quick story real quick. They were supposed to have Kevin Holland on before the MVP fight. Something happened. They didn't get on. I think Rampage said or was a little critical of, I guess, Kevin Holland's game plan against MVP. Kevin Holland texted him and said, "Yo, I want to fight." And Kevin Holland, he
means that.
He means that. And fast forward, obviously it's been many months since the fight. They got him on the podcast this week. And they go, "Yo, thanks for coming on. Thanks for squashing the beef." And Kevin Holland goes, "I ain't squash shit. I'm on the." He goes,
I'm on
he
100
goes-
right now.
He goes, I still want to fight. And Rampage is right across from him. And Rampage said, you don't want to fight, bro. He said, you don't want this. He goes, nah, I'm dead ass. He goes, I don't give a fuck about the fight on Saturday. I want to fight you. And Rampage said, I know you seems like you want to fight, but you don't want this. I promise you don't want this. And Kevin Holland goes, it sounds good. And all you have is Jackson trying to kind of diffuse the situation.
Bear's in the middle of them, like, yeah.
Oh, now what would you put the odds for that fight? Rampage Jackson versus Kevin Holland at a catch weight.
Kevin Holland.
Wow.
I love Rampage. He's, you know, as you were gonna say, all your fighters are your favorite fighters, bro. Growing up and seeing Rampage slamming people on their fucking head was just absolutely bonkers. Rest in peace to the damn door on the Ultimate Fighter as well. I mean, there are just countless. Him humping the reporter. I mean, Rampage Jackson is one of the best fighters. On camera, and in the octagon, man. So you can't disrespect the legend, but if you've seen him last times out doing the boxing events and stuff like that,
the best.
No, man. These fighters take a lot in their careers, and as you get older, they're just a shell of themselves. Unfortunately, it takes a lot for them to stay in the best shape, and it's not easy. So yeah, in the prime of his career, Kevin Holland, I think you got to.
I just thought that was hilarious. I'll send you the video, but yeah, hilarious.
Heavyweight matchup now in the main card of UFC 311. We have jail time. Jailton Almeida, minus 430. He's taking on the Polar Bear, Sergey Spivak at plus 420. We know it's a really Maladino, but I think jail time fits him so much better. So two powerful nicknames here. I like Jailton Almeida. I was a little higher on him before the loss that he suffered to Curtis Blades. We saw him in Charlotte, and we said as soon as he takes Jairzinho down, it was over. I think this is a fight that could face similar circumstance. It could be whoever takes someone down first and winds up on top, as both of their ground games on the bottom are just kind of like, I don't know though. Sergey Spivak, was he on the ground when was he on the bottom when he got the armbar from Tybura?
So it's funny. Spivak, he did beat Tybura with that arm bar, but Tybura was on top of him and was in controlling position.
So we may have seen a little bit of evolution from Sergey Spivak. Maybe he has a little bit of the game plan if he hits the mat to start just wildly throwing up submissions to Almeida. So I mean, looking at the size, Jailton Almeida is a smaller heavyweight too. So I think Sergey Spivak's going to be bigger. I mean, as a massive dog here in this spot with the chance of winding up on top where Almeida isn't going to be good off his back and also is not good on the feet, it's going to be takedown or bust for him. Give me the plus 420 Polar Bear dog. And I'm going to go ahead and dog hunt with him because I think it's a viable play. At heavyweight, all it takes is one shot. And also, it seems we have, like you said, maybe a little evolution from the Polar Bear.
Joe, I have no play in this. It's going to be one of my favorite fights. I agree with you at the top of the show. I thought it deserved to be on the main card. I thought the books would have given Sergey Spivak a bit more respect here after getting that, it looked like, easy win against Tybura. But I think they expect the more I dove into this fight, what I kind of expect. And that's for Almeida to be the better wrestler here. And I see Almeida being able to do the same thing. They both want to fight on the ground. I think that's pretty evident. I think Almeida's going to be a bit quicker, a bit more athletic with the wrestling. And Spivak has shown cardio issues. So if he doesn't get the finish early, expect him to gas out a little bit. He has pretty bad striking defense. So Almeida might find success on the feet as well. I just think it's a nightmare matchup for the Polar Bear. I like him. I love the number, but I really think it's jail times. I think he's gonna get a nice win here. So
lock him up.
I stayed away from the fight.
Not a bad move, especially that it has been moved. I think that's another, variable for the fight. I think depending on where you're placed in the card, I think that does play a factor. You have to be the first fight of the night for Clayton Carpenter. That might not bode well for your pick. I hate to go all the way back, or maybe it could. It's just depending on the placement. Maybe Moicano was meant for the main event all along. Who knows? So, I hope the UFC did right by Beneil Dariush. I do think it was a little bit of a slap in the face to him. I do think that there was a conversation to had for Renato Moicano because that fight that we just talked about had replaced this fight. Yeah. So Renato, being a stand-up guy as he has, probably talked to Beneil Dariush and was like, hey, look, I'm getting an opportunity to fight. And the UFC said that you're going to get paid. I'm hoping that is what happened for Beneil Dariush. Benny deserves his flowers and his respect. for being as game as he is. So now we move to the featured bout. The featured bout of the evening is a light heavyweight matchup between Jiri Prochazka, who is plus 120, taking on Jamal Hill at minus 125. You know, we love Jamal Hill, man. We met him in person. Dude's massive, you know. I think the size is going to match up with Jiri Prochazka, though. It's going to come down to the orthodox striking of Jamal Hill and the unorthodox striking of Prochazka. I do think that the X factors if Prochazka maybe wants to grapple a little bit. You've seen Jamal Hill only get really taken to the ground. It wasn't even really taken to the ground. It was kind of thrown into the guard by Paul Craig. And then he got his arm broken and he got finished with strikes. But so I don't necessarily think that the wrestling to submission path is there. I think that this is a fight between two guys that have a lot of pride, a lot of ego, and they're going to want to showcase their power, showcase their full arsenal of weapons. It's just what's going to work better. Is it going to be the orthodox straight pipe shots from Hill, or is it going to be the spinning elbows and maybe some crazy kicks that Prochazka can throw up? You know, as much as I did want to play Hill, playing Hill last time did not work out for me. Went ahead and last minute switch for Alex Pereira, and that hit. I am going to have to fade Jamal Hill. Both got knocked out by Alex Pereira in their last fights, but it did take till the second round for Prochazka to get finished. He was showing signs of some skill in that first two fights for Alex Pereira. And, you know, the only worrisome would be with the Alexander Rakic fight that he didn't look good in the first round, and then in the second round, he completely steamrolled him. But Jamal Hill on the other side got touched. Granted, it was by the nuclear option, got touched one time and got put out, completely out. So, like you said about the knockouts, doing something to a fighter, will that play a factor here? I don't necessarily know, but I like the dog price. I like the wide array of strikings. And if, like I said, the X factor comes into play, the X factor, if Jiri Prochazka takes him to the ground. So I'm going to take the dog, slight dog, and Jiri Prochazka. Give me BJP plus 120.
Real quick to backtrack to Benny Dariush. He is off the card. He announced on his IG, but he did say the UFC has taken care of him, which
as they always do.
And which they should. So he definitely got compensated financially. As for this fight, this was the hardest fight I thought for me to pick, because I love both fighters. I truly do. I know a lot of people don't like Jamal Hill for whatever. He's really turned into like this kind of heel, which I love because I'm a heel at heart. And I also like the warrior, Jiri Prochazka. I'm coming. I really love both of these fighters, and honestly, I think they're both a fight away from a title shot. Honestly,
could be in that weight class.
This one was really hard for me, Joe, but I love the booing. I think it's going to motivate Jamal Hill. I think both fighters are flawed. I'll start by saying that. I do think both fighters are flawed, but give me Jamal Hill here. I like Jamal Hill minus 125 on the money line. Two former light heavyweight champions who, let's be honest, they both never lost the belt. They both gave it away. And I think he gets the job done against Jiri Prochazka, who, let's be honest, yes, he fights back and has a good chin, but he has been rocked numerous times in numerous rounds in his last few fights.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying I think Jamal Hill's a much better fighter, because like I said, I think he has flaws as well, but I think he is sharper. He is a better boxer, and I think he's better on the feet, and I think he's going to piece up Jiri Prochazka.
He can find that chin. He certainly can.
Hill has the power, and that's all you need at light heavyweight. I'm going to take Sweet Dreams minus 125 on the money line.
Good night. Do you think, though, based off Prochazka, always seemed, since he joined the ranks of the UFC, getting into the second round, do you think a round one win for either fight to end in round one is live? Like you said, Jamal Hill throws caution to the wind and just tries to knock him out. Maybe Prochazka has to respond with trying to do the same. Do you think round one fight to end in round one is more viable, or round two to start in this fight?
I think fight starts round two is more viable. We even got in the chat, like you said, from Spoots Food, Beer, and Things. He said Hill KO round one.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be pure dominance and pure violence in this fight as well. Let me get you. So Jamal Hill to win in round one is at plus 450.
If you go specific, I was just saying fight to end, either fighter round one. It could be submission. It could be DQ. I mean, as long as it ends in the first round.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I would bet on it to start round 2, if I'm being honest.
That's if you were to try to get your overall for that, I think those would hit rather good. And it's favored. They're saying that this fight, it's minus 230 for the start round 2. So the fight to end in round 1 at plus 175, depending on where you find it. So I concur. I agree with the way the books are looking at it, but expect the unexpected.
Hill to win in round 1 by KO TKO plus 525.
Woo! Yeah, specific.
It's definitely worth a sprinkle.
If you're really falling in love with Jamal Hill, like you said, our boy, sports, food, beer, more. Everything, all of it. So let's do the co-main event of UFC 311. It is for the Bantamweight Championship. This has not changed. This fight has been set for some time now. And it seems like, right, Merab had gone over to the train, and that's where some of the heatedness and the emotions have come into play. And then Umar came out with some fire on the, the pre-fight conference saying like, oh, you should stay in Georgia with your people.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Merab, like that, I think makes him more emotional. And it could do one thing or another. Could ignite the fuel under him. Or, as you said, fighting with your emotions, you're not fighting with your brain.
He loves this country.
Absolutely. But it could have taken him out of it. Could be some of the mind games that the Nurmagomedovs can play with you. So they're very smart. They're very assassin-like, cerebral assassin-like, if you would, with the way they approach fights. So Merab Dvalishvili, man, massive dog. Never thought I'd see him as a dog in this spot. I think when he won the belt of Sean O'Malley, I would say, you're lucky if you find him as a dog, but who knows he was going to fight Umar Nurmagomedov, who is a minus 250. So, D-Rock, do you have a play in this co-main event?
Oh, do I have a play? I mean, I just can't wrap my head around Merab being this big of an underdog, not just against Umar, against anyone. I get it. Umar is great. We've given him this flowers on Axe Cake Picks. I mean, he's fucking 18-0. He doesn't seem to have any weakness, but Merab's style is extremely tough to deal with, and that is anyone. Merab is going to do what he always does, which push the pace, nonstop chain wrestling. And I think this line suggests that it's not going to work against Umar. And to be honest, Joe, I don't buy it. I'm going to trust my eyes here. Umar's takedowns are really good, so I do see him having success there. But Merab's cardio and pressure has been too much for anyone. And honestly, Joe, I think the grappling and the wrestling of Merab is better than Umar's. I think Umar is better on the feet, but I think the wrestling, the grappling, the scrambling, Merab is better with, because when you're in the clinch, he is forcefully moving you. These guys, I think they're pretty much even. I thought the line, I was so surprised. We've been talking about this fight since it opened up about a little over a month, maybe 2 months ago. And we were talking about whose line is it. And when I said minus 325, I honestly, I thought I saw a typo. Remember the commercial? It must have been a typo. That's what I fucking thought. The commercial went in my head because I was like, it can't be true. Like, I honestly thought it should have been a pick'em, because I do think both of these fighters are even, in my opinion. I don't think there's no fucking chance on this God-given earth that I would ever lay minus 325 in anyone, whether Merab was the minus 325 or Umar. There's no way I could do that. Merab at plus money is the only way value standpoint is the only way you can play this fight. Give me Merab, and he's a Long Island kid. Fuck am I doing going against a New Yorker?
Fantastic breakdown there. And, I think it's based solely on, some of the futures for me and why I'm taking Umar. I had him being the bantamweight champion at the end of the year. And to do that, I do think he needs to beat Merab here, because if Merab beats him, I know you said there was a chance for a rematch. What rematch? He's not the champion. He doesn't deserve a rematch. He has to find his way to back.
People could argue he didn't deserve it now.
Absolutely. He had jumped the line. Like Logan Paul did for the U.S. title. So, I mean, it's not all boding well for Umar if he loses his matchup and my ticket. I'm going to have 2 tickets burnt right off the bat in the first pay-per-view of the year. But I got to go against you. I got to take Umar Nurmagomedov just because, it's hard to bet against the Nurmagomedovs. It seems that, as you explained, we haven't really seen Umar's cardio get tested, but it's most likely he's going to have good cardio. He's going to have good IQ in there. The way he approached the press conferences, the way he's approached the fight camp. I mean, he's 18-0 for a reason, which is pretty much equivalent to the amount of fights that Merab has had. So he's not too far off in terms of the pedigree. It does seem that he does have better striking when it comes to involving the kicks, maybe being able to time and feint a little bit better than Merab. I think that's where he has the advantage. But, to your point, I think Merab's relentlessness could be the deciding factor. I think Umar's going to have to go ahead and counter with his own relentlessness. And that's going to have to happen. And as you mentioned before, in a lot of other fights, the scrambling factor. I think if Merab goes to try to take him down and it successfully knocks him off his feet, I think it's Umar's time to scramble and get back up on the feet, which I think could wash it out. I think as much as it may make Umar tired to constantly do that, I think Merab having to go ahead and attempt another takedown as well could also drag it down just a little bit. But I don't think Carter is going to be an issue in this fight. I think this is a decision fight either way. I think it's just who it's going to slightly edge to. And I got to put Umar in a parlay. I get your points of the price and everything like that. But just a little piece of caveat for you guys. That's my official play. Is Umar straight up to be the second leg of a 3-leg parlay. But if you want to get value out of him, like I said, I see this as a decision fight. You want to get tremendous value out of either fighter. I think Merab Dvalishvili via decision or Umar Nurmagomedov via decision. And the fact that I took Umar via decision, I think it might be even favored. If he's a minus 250 right now in this spot, pretty sure he's probably going to be like a slight favorite in the decision here. So Dvalishvili winning by decision, I'm seeing is like plus 350. If you have Nurmagomedov winning by decision, it's minus 125.
It's minus 125. Yeah.
So I think that's the only way you could squeeze him down straight up. Otherwise, like I said, you got to incorporate Umar in a parlay. And that's what I did here. So we've made it to the main event of UFC 311, man. Unexpected turn of events. D-Rock laid it all out for you guys. This is for the UFC Lightweight Championship of the world. Islam Makhachev was once a minus 300, is now, let me get this right. What'd you say? Minus 650 on some books, up all the way to minus 1100. I mean, unfortunately, I do think
it's minus 1200. I see at some books, plus 775,
more
plus
money,
750.
Money's all, even though Money Moicano, all money seems to be coming in on Islam.
But he can't afford to lose.
He can't afford to lose, and that's why Moicano's going to race him. No, I just, as much as I want to take the plus 700, man, this last-minute replacement, I think it does favor Islam. I think someone not having a camp for somebody, I don't think you want to fight Islam on that short of a notice without a camp for him, Damn, I hate it. It's Renato Moicano. Like you said, your favorite financial advisor. It definitely going to probably wind up on the mat sooner or later. Let's see how good his jiu-jitsu is. I just think the pressure of Islam is going to be so much, man. I thought that it would have washed out, and that seems to be the theme for this weekend, the complete wash that we're going to get with some of these fights. That Arman Tsarukyan, if he was in there, that it would have come down to a striking battle. Now my fear is that Moicano is not really able to deny the takedowns, and it's just going to be depending on how good his jiu-jitsu is off his back, which I just don't want a fighter to fall in love with that position. It's just not going to bode well, especially against Islam Makhachev. So I got to incorporate Islam as my last leg of the parlay because I see him being able to knock out Renato, submit him, or if maybe takes it lightly, wins by decision, but of course unanimously. So those three in a last-minute parlay will be Islam, Umar, and Peyton Talbot, minus 129. Chalky for a 3-legger, but I got to do it. It's the only way I'm seeing to get value out of these three fighters.
Yeah, I love Money Moicano. I think he's so smart, learning a new language, the whole financial thing with Bitcoin, and he cuts a hell of a promo. I agree in the chat. I just don't think he has a chance here against the pound for pound number one and Islam Makhachev here. So no props out yet. I would take him to finish him. My question, the only thing out right now are total rounds here. So I guess my question to you, over under 2.5 rounds, over is at plus 155. The under is at minus 210. Over 3.5 rounds, plus 180. Under 3.5 rounds is minus 220. So books are saying, hey, this is going to be a short fight. It's going to be quick. And let's just, I've been saying with my girl, Aline Perez, better and better every time in the octagon. And I'll say Islam's striking has gotten better and better every time. Like, he was even piecing up Dustin Poirier, which I thought not a lot of people could do in this company. So that is what I worry with. I don't even know if it gets to the floor, if I'm being honest. I don't even think Money Moicano wants that smoke. And I know he's going to go out there and say, and he wants it, and he's a great grappler. But I think Islam pieces him the fuck up, if I'm being honest. I don't think he has a chance in this fight. I got to see what the odds are right now. While recording, we don't have any odds up for via KO, TKO. But yeah, I'm going to take Islam by massacre.
Yeah, but at least, like you said, to our point, the advantage of having a show on Fridays, because that's partly why we just chose to have it on Fridays, because anything can happen. If this ain't proof of it in 2025 that anything can happen in this sport, I don't know what to tell you. You're watching something else. So that's why we're here for you guys, trying to make the best of the situation. So is the UFC and all these fighters. May everyone do well for UFC 311.
Joe, thank you so much. Good luck. Intuit Dome Saturday night. Cannot wait for that. Let's go over to Manchester. Like I said, Saturday night, Misfits, Darren Till versus Anthony Taylor. DAZN Series X20. You can find that out. The fight is at cruiserweight, meaning that Taylor's Misfit light heavyweight belt will not be on the line. Obviously, like I said, he was supposed to fight. Darren Till was supposed to fight Tommy Fury, but he bitched out. So I don't know. He's just a bum, in my opinion. Tommy Fury's career is done. The only feather in his cap is he beat Jake Paul barely. Now, he's going in against someone that's kind of established. Anthony Taylor, he might be known as kind of this mainstream Premier League fighter, but this is a different man. I think he's gonna go in there and try to go crazy and beat Darren Till. I don't think that happens. The problem here is that Taylor, is a big deal in the Misfits bubble, but he's barely known outside of that. Fury, he had a home field advantage, wealth in Manchester. But outside of that, I just really don't see it happening. Darren Till, he has good hands. He has good striking capability. At the age of 32, Darren Till is still in, I think, his peak of his athletic realm. So I like him here. I think he beats Anthony Taylor.
Yeah.
So give me Darren Till.
I don't have any disgruntled with that. Maybe just a shout out to Anthony Taylor for stepping in and continuing to fight, because I'm looking at, he was a mixed martial artist and he made his way over to gimmick boxing, if you want to. I don't know what else to label it as, but in his amateur ranks, he ended his amateur career with a 5-fight loss record, 5 consecutive losses there. Then he goes pro. He was in Bellator. He loses to James Gallagher, Adam Borix, and then you see him start trying his hand at boxing, because I guess he said he probably has some hands, and it's just the grappling is what's kind of getting him, worried about the submission and stuff. But I mean, he's continued to fight. He put together a great win streak a little bit, got back into Bellator. He himself fought Tommy Fury and lost. The Chris Avila that he beat in mixed martial arts, he wound up losing in boxing too. So you got to say that, Anthony Taylor is game as they come, for him to still be here after all the losses he is experienced. I think that Darren Till, though, his way of throwing strikes is very long. It might not be built so much for boxing. I know he's done a lot of Muay Thai in his career, but look at Anthony Taylor now, his last 4 fights, would he be KSI? Is that Kenny Ojureri? Is that KSI?
I don't know. It's for
King Kenny.
Man.
No, okay, someone knows. All right, but he has
I just can't take Anthony Taylor serious just because his plan at the end of 2025 is to get over to the WWE.
Okay, that's pretty crazy. But hey, man,
he's done everything: boxing, MMA. Now
he has
WWE.
2 knockouts in back-to-back fashion. I mean,
Yeah,
are there odds for this? Are there odds for this fight?
Yeah, I got it at -110. Darren Till on the money line, which is crazy.
So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think if you want to just play it, I dog hunt. I'd probably put money on Anthony Taylor. Being in this position before
against the Scouser.
Yeah, it's not hard to put away the Scousers, but not easy. Excuse me. Let me take that back. 100% not easy, because these dudes are no joke. But I just think, like I said, being in this position, fighting under this promotion, the lights may be different, just there's a lot of factors that go into this fight. And, he is on a 4-fight win streak with 2 knockouts in the last 2. I mean, Anthony Taylor could maybe catch Darren Till. So I'm willing to lay it. I don't have a play, but the way you laid it out made me kind of think that Anthony Taylor might be a bet to make.
All right, kid, before we get to 10 seconds left and we get on out of here, some news. UFC London main event. Leon Edwards will take on three-name Jack Della
Confirmed.
Maddalena. March 22nd, 5 rounds, welterweight main event. Can you guess the odds?
Leon Edwards minus 175.
Close. Leon Edwards minus 185, JDM plus 160. Title eliminator?
I would say, I think three-name Jack has done enough in the little spots that we've seen him and always coming out on top to get a title shot if he beats Leon Edwards. But it could come down to the method in which he does so. If this is a boring 5-round decision fight, I don't think either guy is it's gonna bode well for their career. But if it's a spectacular 5-round fight of the night, fight of the year category, maybe still. So it definitely is gonna come down to how it ends up. But I was seeing that in his own backyard, fighting at the highest levels that he had, like we talk about, placement on the card matters a lot. Leon being the last fight of the night, he's used to that. Maybe JDM isn't just yet, but we'll see. So that's why I came up with the minus 170 for Leon Edwards. To be honest with you, I think JDM, Giacomo Della Maddalena is absolutely live. Just the way he throws hands. I think if he can stay away and maybe close the distance from Leon's kicks, I think that he may have a little bit better boxing. I think the kickboxing may be in favor of Leon Edwards, but also a factor is if JDM wants to grapple. I think we haven't seen too much of his ability to wrestle and grapple, but it's there. I think that would have boded well for him against Basel Hafez back in the day when we had that controversial victory on his end. So, yeah, I think JDM has more ways to win, and fighting on enemy territory will bode well for his career. So, yeah, I'm going to also go again, and there seems to be another theme besides the wash is the dog hunting. I'm going to go ahead and take three-name Jack.
I love it. Bellator is no longer. It is dead. Bellator is dead. Thank God. I mean, it's been a waste. Don Davis did the right thing finally, and he also released Patricio Pitbull as well. 30 Bellator fights, 24 wins, 13-time world champion.
Bellator GOAT.
What Vigo? I mean, he wants to go to the UFC. He named 3 guys. He wants to fight Diego Lopez, Ilia Topuria, or Alexander Volkanovski.
You're going to get Calvin Kattar and like it.
Do you think overplaying your hand could hurt Patricio Pitbull in negotiation because he's laid out that's the only place he wants to go? Now, if the UFC be like, well, I know you want to come here. Now I could play hardball with you.
Yeah. It could go one way or the other. They could negotiate to give him his fights, but at a lesser pay, or play it our way. We'll pay you what you want, but you're going to have to take the fights that we think you're ready for. Just like they're doing with RDR from One's ranks. So, yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be as surprised that the UFC is going to do this because they're protecting their business model, right? You get these fighters from other promotions coming in, whether, we think those lower ranked guys, at the regional levels coming into the UFC don't have a shot. We see it time and time again. Some of the best athletes in the world are going to come from no-name promotions. So there's a chance that they're good and there's a chance that they're not. I think I'm on the side of the UFC, actually. I think that he needs to be tested. I think he does deserve, based off his name, a high-level fight, but not those 3. I think maybe a notch down. Just one notch down to get those fights. I think if he proves himself in the opening fight, his introduction fight to the UFC, depending on how that goes, he should maybe get one of those.
And Aljamain Sterling.
Something along those lines. Unfortunate for Aljo. But yeah, something along those lines. I don't think he comes right out of the gate getting a title eliminator. I think he's going to need one fight, depending on how that happens, then go and get a title eliminator fight.
The PFL have also released their World Championship schedule for 2025. They released to the change to the format. Season is dead. Thank God. I mean, to be honest.
So it's just Bellator again.
No, it's just PFL.
Yeah, but it's just Bellator scheduling.
8 weight classes, 8 fighters, single elimination. Winner gets $500K. Starts in April on ESPN. There are no brackets. No fighters have been announced yet, but the champions are kind of being like a traditional champs now, and they will be able to compete in other events. So the winner of these tournaments won't be champs per se. It's unclear if the winner gets an immediate title shot. This is an upgrade, though, I think, in my opinion. Seasons, standings, points, they don't work in the fighting promotion. They just don't. So there's 8 weight classes, and they will have a world title tournament. Women's flyweight 125. Bantamweight 135, featherweight 145, lightweight 155, welterweight 170, middleweight 185, light heavyweight 205, and heavyweight 265. First fight, April 3rd. first round fights. The semifinals are June 12th, and then the finals are in August 1st. What are your thoughts?
I like that it's not ending at the end of the year. I like that it's ending towards like the beginning of summer, beginning of fall. I like that, but the way you describe it makes me think that it's just a glorified Bellator. That PFL is simply just following Bellator's model a little bit because their model didn't work. And I'd rather have Scott Coker heading it than Don Davis.
Legend.
So, yeah, I mean, he had mismanaged a little bit, but it's just I just like him a little bit more than Don Davis. I don't think Don Davis is a likable guy. I think he's not doing himself any favors by the way he talks about his fighters. And shout out to Kai Kamaka III. He came out disgruntled about the PFL and their treatment towards their fighters. It seems to be worse than the contract holdouts from one championship. So every organization, the UFC, they say they don't pay these guys enough. I think they're working on that. Every organization seems to have a little bit of an issue here and there, but I think it's going to take a little bit of the rough times to get into the golden era. So let's get through all this. And I mean, the GFL, they're doing a little bit different, as I know you mentioned that prior. So like you said, I think more options for promotions, more options for fighters. I think better off for everyone. But I am a little disgruntled, like our friend Kai Kamaka at the PFL as a whole.
Yeah, Don Davis has come out this week and said financially they are in no trouble. They are in good standing, which I think only time will tell. Something that Don Davis wasn't able to do up until this week, releases fighters, and that is exactly what the UFC did with Holly Holmes. They have parted ways with her. She is now a free agent. She had 2 fights left on the deal. She asked to explore her other options, and the UFC said, you know what? You're a Hall of Famer in boxing. You're probably going to be a Hall of Famer in the UFC.
Well, she's already a Hall of Fame boxing Hall of Fame.
And she plans on continuing to fight. She's open to boxing. She's open to MMA. The Katie Taylor fight is out there. Amanda Serrano. What do you want to see for Holly Holmes? I think she has a couple fights left in her.
Yeah, I mean,
no more fight nights.
No more Holly Holm main events.
No.
Damn. My heart's broken. I do think she's a skillful kickboxer. I don't think she should limit herself to just boxing. I think if you remember, she got viciously knocked out one time in a boxing match up. So there are some heavy hitters out there in the women's weight classes that she'd have to fight in. Maybe just stay in the kickboxing organization where she could use her length and her kicks. I don't think grappling's her strong suit, so we probably won't see her there. Like I said, boxing's very dangerous, taking the blows to a head. Muay Thai, you don't want to see her get cut up or anything like that. Who knows how good she could throw elbows. So
I want to put 2 promotions out there.
The GFL, I was just going to say, is one.
Okay, that's interesting. I wasn't thinking about that.
Go ahead.
Karate Combat.
I love that. Great call out, bro. And that's a promotion I can't believe I didn't mention when we talked about promotions to invest in for 2025.
I like, and who's it? What's his name? Who owns it and runs it? Something with an N.
Oh, what's his name? President Awesome.
Awesome. Yes. Love that. I think she would flourish there. Or this is probably not going to happen, but BKFC.
No.
I like
bro, Muay Thai, she's not even going to go into, with the 4-ounce gloves or bare knuckle.
Especially at this age.
And I don't see her taking that. I think even boxing itself might be a little risky for her. So,
but there are huge fights for her in boxing. There are huge
fights for her in both ways. It's just, hard for me to see her taking another mixed martial arts fight with, like you said, the GFL. But, man, Karate Combat, that's absolutely live as a pick. Yeah. So great call, yeah.
All right, that's all the news I got. 10 seconds left. We got Aries FC28 main event. Let's get back on the winning track, kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to play it safe, man. Aries FC28's headline is Axel Sola, -800, taking on Kyle at +700. And I don't think the odds are wrong in this one. Axel Sola is someone I've been following for a while. I think he's a guy that could come up from a French promotion and make his way into the UFC. But I think they're just biding their time a little bit because he is only 24 years of age. So I think the young superstar has ways to go, but this is a way along that process. He'll get a win here. Don't know how you can squeeze it down because it seems that the promotions that are not UFC, they don't have many props, totals, or other ways to squeeze the number down. So you might have to bite the bullet on it. But just to get back on track, I got to take Axel Sola here in the 10 seconds left.
Put him in a parlay with the Ravens money. Kid, what do you like? And any last words before we get up out of here? It was a great show.
Man, I'm all over the place because no one's talking about. I tweeted about it. If the Lions win and the Rams beat the Eagles, Matt Stafford's going to have to play his old team in his old stadium. He's probably going to win that one. I think that's someone no one's talking about. The
favorite divisional round pick right now.
AFC is really cut and dry. I'll be honest, the Chiefs are making the Super Bowl. I hate that, bro.
Yeah,
I hate it.
They're going to
hate
three-peat.
it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, other news. I didn't double down on the parlay. I got a 2-leg decision parlay for y'all to end things. It's plus 335. It's Dawson and Rosa. Let's see that those fights make it the decision and that they win. May they not? I don't care. It's plus money. So, plus 335.
My favorite play this weekend, and do not count him out, Jaden Daniels and the Redskins. Plus 430. Go on the road and shock the world.
I love it.
Let's go. Everyone, enjoy the fights. Good luck this weekend.
Good luck, guys.